It wasn't the message that made me heavy. It only showed me what I had been carrying. I was happy for her. That was the part one could explain. The part one couldn't explain was the heaviness. A friend told me she got promoted. I read the message twice. The first time to make sure I read it right. The second time to figure out what to say back. I sent the right thing. The hearts. The exclamation marks. The "I'm so proud of you, you deserve this." All of it true. All of it real. And then, the moment I hit send, something in my chest got a little heavier. Not big. Not loud. Just a small weight that wasn't there before her message. I love her. I really do. We've known each other since college. I've watched her work for this for years. She earned it. I know she earned it. So why was something heavy now? I sat with the phone in my hand for a while. Why does someone else's good news feel heavy? It's not the kind of question you ask out loud. It would sound ungenerous. It would sound like the worst version of yourself. So I let it stay there. Quietly. At first, only inside myself. Why does her good news feel like loss? I closed the Messages app and the question stayed. It wasn't the first time. It was just the first time I let it stay. Somewhere between reading her message and sending mine, something in me had quietly done a calculation. Where she is. Where I am. The distance between. I didn't ask for that calculation. It just ran. Like background music I'd stopped noticing. A quiet answer came. Maybe you weren't unhappy for her. Maybe the measuring tape just came out before your heart did. I sat with that for a long time. A measuring tape. Something I hadn't noticed I was carrying. Something that opened on its own, before I had a chance to choose. Before the love had a chance to arrive first. It wasn't that I loved her less. It was that something else had moved faster. Two brothers under the same sky. I once heard a small story about two brothers who lived in a house with a wide yard. Each had been given a star at birth, the way some traditions do. The older brother's star was bright and large, easy to find. The younger brother's star was small and quiet, the kind you had to wait for. For years, they each looked at their own star. The younger brother knew his was small, but he loved it. He had learned the shape of it. He knew where to look on a cloudy night. Then, one summer, the older brother's star grew unusually bright. Travelers came from other villages just to see it. People pointed at it. People talked about it. Someone wrote a song. The younger brother stood in the same yard he had always stood in, and looked up. He couldn't find his star. He looked for a long time. He looked in the place he had always looked. The star wasn't there. He went inside, and he was heavier than he had been the night before. The younger brother wasn't angry at his brother. That made it worse. Because if he had been angry, at least the feeling would have had a name. He could have called it jealousy. He could have called it bitterness. He could have set it down somewhere and walked around it. But there was no anger. Only the absence of his own star, in the place where it had always been. And no name for what that absence felt like. He didn't tell anyone. He thought there was something wrong with him. The next morning, an old woman who lived nearby noticed his face. She asked what was wrong. He told her. He had lost his star. Another quiet answer came, from the old woman. Your star didn't go anywhere. Your brother's star is just very bright tonight. Your eyes haven't adjusted yet. The younger brother went back outside. He waited a long time. He let his eyes get used to the new brightness. And slowly, faintly, his small star appeared again. It had never left. It had only been hidden by the brightness next to it. I don't know if the story is true. I think it's the kind of true that doesn't need to be. A coworker published a book. I don't think I've ever told anyone this. A few years ago, someone I worked with announced she had finished a book. She had been writing it for years, in the early mornings before work, in coffee shops on weekends. I knew she was writing it. I had even read parts of it once and told her it was good. It was good. The day she announced it, I was sitting at my desk with a cup of coffee that had gone cold. I saw her post. I remember the photo. Her hand was on the cover, like she still couldn't quite believe it was real. I felt happy for her. And right behind that, almost in the same breath, I felt small. Not jealous in the loud way. Not bitter. Just a quiet downward pull. A sense that I had been doing something else with my mornings. That my mornings had not produced a book. That maybe my mornings would never produce anything anyone would announce. I closed the post. I drank my cold coffee. I went back to my work. I never told her. I sent her a kind message. I went to her launch. I bought the book. I meant all of it. But the small downward pull stayed under everything I said. For a long time, I thought that pull was a flaw in me. That a better person wouldn't feel it. That if I really loved her, I would only feel light. I was wrong about which part was the problem. I didn't want what she had. I wanted proof that my own life had not gone missing. That was the heavy part. Not her book. Not her hand on the cover. The quiet question her good news made me ask, before I had a chance to stop it, where is mine? The love wasn't the problem. The measuring tape was. Maybe the heaviness wasn't a sign that I loved her less. The question came back again, softer this time. Why does the measuring tape come out so fast? A quiet answer came. Because I had been measured for so long. Measured against my siblings. Measured against the kid 2 desks down. Measured against the version of me on a report card. Measured against the version of me on a paycheck. Measured against the version of me I was supposed to be by now. The tape didn't appear in my chest the day my friend got promoted. The tape was already there. It had been there since I was small enough to be picked up and asked how tall I was getting. Of course it came out first. It had been trained to. It wasn't an enemy. It was a habit. Older than the love. Faster than the love. The love was real. It was just slower to arrive. Someone made the tape. I once heard another small story. In a village very far from here, there was a person whose job was to make measuring tapes. They made tapes for grain. Tapes for cloth. Tapes for the height of children, marked off in careful inches on the wall by the kitchen door. The tape maker was good at the work. The tapes were accurate. The villagers used them for everything. One day, a young person from the village came to the tape maker's house. The young person was holding a tape they had been given when they were small. They said, "Every time I take this tape out, I feel smaller." "Why did you make a thing that makes me feel smaller?" The tape maker was quiet for a while. Another quiet answer came, from the tape maker. "When I was a child, my mother measured me every morning. She measured my height. She measured the words I learned. She measured the small things I made out of paper and gave to her after dinner. I think she did it because she didn't know how else to show she was watching. The tape was the only language she had. She would mark the wall with a pencil and step back and say, 'Look how much.' And I would feel her notice me, and I thought that was love. When I grew up, I made tapes. Because that was the only way I knew to show I was paying attention. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was handing you something that would make you feel smaller. I think I was handing you the only kind of love I had been given. The young person didn't know what to do with that, at first. But they took the tape home. And they put it in a drawer. And the next time the heaviness came, they remembered, this was handed to me. I didn't make it. And the person who handed it to me didn't make it either. The tape isn't mine. That story stayed with me for a long time. Because the tape in my chest, the one that opened the day my friend got promoted, the one that opened years ago when my coworker published her book, the one that opens every time someone I love announces something good, that tape isn't mine. I didn't make it. I didn't choose it. Maybe the tape was handed to me. Quietly. Over years. Not by anyone cruel. Just by people who didn't have another language for love. Parents who showed they cared by tracking my grades. Teachers who showed they cared by ranking me. A culture that showed it cared by asking what I had become by now. None of them sat me down and said, here is a tape. Use it on yourself for the rest of your life. Use it especially when someone you love does well. But that's what got passed down. Quietly. Through every dinner table conversation about who was doing what. Through every report card kept on the fridge. Through every comparison disguised as encouragement. So when my friend told me she got promoted, the tape opened. Not because I'm a bad friend. Because the tape opens. That is what a tape does. And the heaviness that follows isn't proof of how little I love her. It's proof of how long I've been measured. I don't have to break the tape today. And somewhere in that, another question appeared. How do I stop? After a while, a quiet answer came. I don't have to break it. I don't have to throw it out. I don't have to be a person who has never measured anything. I just have to notice when it appears. When the tape comes out, I can say, quietly, oh. The tape is out. I see it. I'm not going to argue with it. I'm not going to be ashamed of it. I'm just going to wait, for a second, and let the love arrive too. Because the love does arrive. Just a little slower. Just behind the tape. If I wait, it gets there. And then one last quiet answer came. Their good news isn't a measurement of you. It's just their good news. It belongs to them. The way your good news, when it comes, will belong to you. The tape was never the right tool for understanding either one. I sent my friend another message that night. Just a small one. I told her I was really, really happy for her. I meant it more this time. Not because I had crushed the heaviness. The heaviness was still there. But behind it, finally, the love had caught up. Her good news was hers. And for that night, mine was not to measure it. Mine was just to stay long enough for the love to arrive. Cross-reference. A heaviness that arrives the moment someone you love does well, not from absence of love, but from a measuring tape that was handed down before the love had a chance to be the first thing in the room. End of file.